Start living in a new world.
Hey guys, it's Ivy. Welcome back to A New World. I want to share with you a little conversation I overheard the other night, and it really touched me. And it reminded me of a really important principle that I hold dear regarding nourishing ourselves, and not just what we eat, but how we eat. And I was sitting in this little natural foods cafe. They have a community table where people can go and just kind of share a big table with strangers. And I was sitting there eating my dinner, and next to me was a beautiful Indian woman and her son. This man looked like he was probably in his late 20s, early 30s, and I was just overhearing their conversation, and it was so moving to me. At one point in the meal, he just said, "Mom, I would really love it if you would make some dal before you leave." And dal, as you may know, is a really delicious Indian sort of stew. It's made out of lentils, and it's kind of a comfort food, very nourishing, very healing. And I, out of the corner of my eye, saw his mom, the woman next to me, she lit up. She visibly lit up, and it was such a potent example of how natural it is for the mothering instinct to want to nourish and provide nourishment. And it just reminded me that that same impulse exists with all of us to nourish ourselves. And sometimes in this culture we live in, and this very scientific-oriented mentality that we're accustomed to regarding nourishment, it's easy to lose sight of the importance of the more subtle aspects of our food and our relationship to the way we eat. And it can be easy to be caught up in proteins and grams and calories and all these very intellectual types of aspects, which are totally valid components. But in my experience, I've noticed myself and the people around me at times kind of lose sight of the more subtle, really beautiful elements of eating. And when I saw this dynamic between this beautiful man and his mother, it just reminded me how important that is. And apparently, I interjected into the conversation later and learned that she's flying back to India in a few days, and so they had a limited time together. And it was just so beautiful to me that they were going to share that experience of making food, because it's so primal in a way. And in our culture where our families live miles away, some of us have completely lost touch with our birth mothers. It can be so important to provide that nourishing to ourselves, and to maybe just make a little bit of a mental adjustment to allow ourselves to indulge in comfort foods. And that doesn't necessarily mean overeating. That certainly doesn't mean eating anything that doesn't nourish your body on a physical level. It just means allowing ourselves to embrace more of a childlike, whimsical relationship to the way we eat, and not be so much in our heads concerned with all of these concerns that are on our plates, so to speak, nowadays. No pun intended, but pesticides and chemicals and additives and preservatives and all these things is enough to make you sick just worrying about it all. So that's really my message to you today, to just encourage you to relax that a little bit and soften into your heart and allow yourself to nourish yourself the way a good mother would, or the way you would nourish your own child if you have them, or if you did have them. So thank you so much for joining me today. Look forward to seeing you next time in A New World.
Start living in a new world.